Welcome everybody to Division 1 action. Now this is my own game, so you can see my cards against Julia Corbin. I'm changed. I've normally been on black-white vampires all season. This is a mono-black control. This is a deck I'm trying out for SCG Philadelphia. See, Julia plays the green-red. Also in this match, you're going to look out and see possibly the biggest punt I've ever done in my whole Magic life. And I call it one of the worst punt, actually, and I call it the worst punt because I knew damn well what I was doing, and I'll discuss it more at the time, but everything Magic related was just wrong that I did. So at this stage, Julie's played green-red. I'm thinking dinosaurs or monsters or whatever they call that thing. So she's stalled on 2 land drops, so Josu Vess I normally is a finisher because you can overload him and get about 8 2/2s, I think, but I'm kind of going for the throat right now. I can get in and get some real damage done before she has time to hit. I'm at this stage. I'm thinking 4 land drops is where she starts to get the good stuff. The Rekindling Phoenix into the I always forget the name of that 5 mana dragon. This play I don't mind. She's going to Lightning Strike and Shock my Josu Vess. So 2 spells, I get a 2-for-1 there. The only downside is I don't have a follow-up. So I'm just going to cast Ballista because I want to keep the threats on the board. I only cast it for 1 because I want to activate Argyle's Bloodfast. I kind of think that her top end is far superior to my top end, so I need to get this one over with faster, sooner rather than later. I do have the Torment of Hailfire, so I'm on the lookout for a Cabal Stronghold as well. Thrashing Brontodon is basically good night for my Argyle's Bloodfast. I draw a cast down. Now this is an interesting one. I didn't quite get this one. I'm going to cast down the Brontodon so I can swing with the Ballista. She chose not to sacrifice it to take out the Bloodfast. I'm not sure why. I think that might be a misplay from her. But I get in for 2 points of damage. Here, I'm looking at the Vraska's Contempt. She's going to Lightning Strike, so in response I just sack. So that's 2 Lightning Strikes down. Vraska's Contempt in hand, so I don't really care too much about the Rekindling Phoenix here. Never Return, I've been playing around with. I've got 2 at the moment. Battle at the Bridge is another one that I'm not really sure about. You can see my land starting to pile up now, but I've got no play to play here. So what I'm going to do is play Battle at the Bridge for 4 to kill the Kenra, just to get some life gain to make up for the Argyle's Bloodfast, so I can start drawing more cards again. Draw a card in case I hit a land drop, but I don't. And Doomfall's really good because it means if she gets any creature, like a Hero of Glorybringer is going to get haste, I'm going to take 4, but I can actually exile the Glorybringer if I wanted to. I've got 2 options here, exile or cast Never Return. So what I end up doing is going for the Never Return. And then I can also cast Doomfall to take a threat out of her hand, and you can see she's on 2 cards, so I'm going to strip her down to a card here. And I'm going to be able to activate Argyle's Bloodfast. So at this stage, I get the Rekindling Phoenix. At this stage, I think I've got the match won. So she has to tap out for a Gearhulk. I don't know what that last card in hand is. Now I'm just going to pause for a second and explain this massive punt here. So you can see I've drawn a Liliana's Death Majesty. I've got a Vraska's Contempt. So right at this point, I can take down the Gearhulk, or my thinking is I'm going to Torment of Hellfire, and I can get her in 2 turns. Because with the Torment, the way that it works, she's going to have to either give up that Gearhulk or discard the card in her hand, which means she has to top deck. But because I'm at 10, it means that I'm dead to a Kenra, which I know she has. I'm dead to a land which would activate the Kenra from the graveyard. I'm dead to a shock, I'm dead to a lightning strike, I'm dead to a million things, but I'm going to go ahead anyway, and I'm going to tap out for this Torment of Hailfire. So she has to think about this for a minute. It's for, I think, 6. Yeah, it's for 6, so she can only take 5 hits and discard, or sacrifice. And as I say, what made this punt my worst punt is that I was fully aware of the Vraska's Contempt, but I chose to be greedy and go for this. You can see I've got the Never Return. The other line I was looking at was Vraska's Contempt, the Gear Hulk, and then flashback Never Return to get rid of the Kenra, because the Kenra can be flashed back from her graveyard for 6, so if she drew a land she could get that as well. So now I'm crossing my fingers that she doesn't get anything, and she gets a haste threat, so I have to concede. So we go to game 2. I'm salty as hell at myself for that lousy play. One thing I did learn with this deck, I was playing around with Scavenger Grounds and Field of Ruin, but I find that there's a Cabal Stronghold that I really wanted. I find that particularly the Scavenger Grounds is not very good when I need as many swamps as I can get my hands on. Kenra is going to target my Gifted Aetherborn. This I don't mind because the Aetherborn's got lifelink, so I just reverse the life totals here anyway. I'm holding that Ballista so that I can cast it for 2, so I can shoot down that Kenra and keep it alive. She just passes on 3, so I'm suspecting some sort of removal here, so I swing first if it doesn't come. So I cast a Ballista to shoot down the Kenra. I just do it now just in case she's got some Blossoming Defense or some sort of pump spell, then she doesn't get the advantage of it on her own turn. This one here, I'm really surprised she targeted my Ballista, because I'm just going to sack the last one in response. I thought, again, I think that it might be a misplay on her part rather than targeting the Gifted Aetherborn. Chandra is a big one here, but you can see I do have the answer in the Never Return. She uses Chandra to take down my... So now I'm torn between Never Return or Josu Ver, so I decide on the Never Return. Hold up Fatal Push as well, because I'm starting to close in. You can see the Cabal Stronghold. I'm going to be able to overload Josu Ves at 10 mana. Currently I would have... I'm at 6. But because of that, I draw the Never Return, which is good. This Glorybringer is damn annoying because of the haste it has. And that card there is a massive problem. I can't deal with that. The only card I have to beat Carnage Tyrant in my deck, besides the 3 mana sweeper out the sideboard, the only card I have is a Gifted Aetherborn with Death Touch. You can see I've got one in my grave, so I've got no plays to make, so I'm just going to flash back Never Return to get rid of the Earthshaker so she can't flash it back next turn. And just to get myself a crappy zombie. But at this stage I'm thinking I'm pretty much dead, because I saw a ton of lightning strikes out of her. I saw the struggle to survive, so I think if I play an Aetherborn, it's going to die. So I'm just thinking of my massive punt in game 1. A little bit of thought going on here. I'm guessing she has 3 cards in hand. She's got a number of lines that she can take. Probably all bad for me. At this stage I've got 7 7 mana for Josu Vess. And the reason I was saying before about the scavenging grounds is if those were swamps, I would actually have 10, because basically every swamp, once you get past, I think it's 3 for Cabal Stronghold, every swamp you can draw is worth 2. Is worth 2 mana. Now she's got pure card advantage, so the problems are just piling up here. I'm looking, and actually this was a problem. She plus Chandra for 2 reds, targeting Never Return, and she wanted to cast Never Return on the zombie. I don't know what happened here. She couldn't cast it back. We had a number of issues. So I'm just going to fast forward because we discussed this for a little bit. So the conclusion was I'm just going to play as if the zombie is dead and that Never Return actually targeted the zombie. You can see she's out of cards, but she does have a Chandra. But here, I'm pretty much dead because Carnage Tyrant plus Chandra would be 9. So in turn, I have to remove the Dire Fleet Daredevil, and Josu Vess at worst is going to be a chump blocker. Now, just like that off the top, I get a answer for the Carnage Tyrant. So what I'm doing here now is Cabal Stronghold can do its job, and Doomfall the Carnage Tyrant, and I'm pretty happy with where I am. You can see Julia's out of cards. I've got a 4-power creature on the board, so she's top decking. She is going to get to look at 2 cards a turn. But at the same time, a Verdurous Gearhulk is a huge pickup there. I'm thinking if I can get a Torment of Hailfire. I've got this one, and I'm gonna get 2 chances to find it because I'm only gonna take two hits from the Gearhulk. So Gifted Aetherborn has Death Touch. It can take down the Gearhulk. That was a decent pickup as well. So I pass the turn. I would go to... I'm considering at this point, considering out loud whether I want to double block the Verdurous Gearhulk, but this is kind of a game changer right there, and that's actually lethal. So I'm going to concede because Gearhulk Glorybringer will exert my Aetherborn. Chandra will plus... I'm not sure why she did that. I think that's a misplay again. So I need something off the top next turn, because you can see I'm going to go to 1 here. I think she could have plussed then, and then exerted the Glorybringer, and it would have been game over. But Aetherborn's not going to do it, so I'm going to concede. And we're going to go to Modern. I'm playing my Green-White Company deck that I've played all season. I was considering playing Blue Moon. I do play Blue Moon. I alternate between Green-White Company and Blue Moon. I always say that just to be entirely transparent, because I do record a lot of these matches. This matchup here, it's Spirits, Bant Spirits versus my Green-White. I don't actually... I think this is a matchup heavily determined by the draw. I have beaten this matchup a few times, but because I can't block flyers, and vice versa, my creatures are far superior to hers. It's kind of a race. So we're both, in a way, at the mercy of the draw. I don't mind it because I have Courser of Krufix that can gain me life. You can see the Scavenging Ooze is another way to gain life. So I've got a number of paths I can go down here. I have to play my Knight because it's my best chance of winning. Get a massive Knight of the Reliquary very quickly. So you can see she hits me for 2, I can hit her back for 3. And I gain life back. But the problem you'll see very quickly is when she gets cards like this guy, the Drog Skull Captain. He's the Spirit Lord. So he's going to pump those 2 Mausoleum Wanderers to 3/3s. and give them... I can't, at this stage, Path to Exile, because he can just sack a Mausoleum Wanderer in response. You can see I've got the Collected Company on the top of my library there, so I have to wait till my turn to do it. So now I'm thinking... I play this on purpose before I play my land, because if she wants to save the Drog Skull, she has to sack both Mausoleum Wanderers. So I'm kind of trying to entice her to do that, but she doesn't fall for that trick. So Drog Skull is down. I gain a little bit of life, and I'm going to get in for 5. So once again, I'm winning the damage race. The problem with my Collected Company, if she hits anything here that's going to pump those Wanderers, then she can easily counter it. So the other thing I'm considering here is, do I want a company, or do I want to activate Gavany Township? What would be really nice, what I'd really like at this point, is a second Knight of the Reliquary, so that I can start looking for land. So main phase here, because I've got Voice of Resurgence, Collected Company. This I don't mind, but this could be really, really bad for me. It means that I'm going to be able to fire off my own one next turn. And you can see these Mausoleum Wanderers are getting massive pumps right now. And so they become 4/4s, so it's going to drop me to 6. So right there, advantage Matthew quickly swings back, massive advantage Julia as I go to 6. She's got 2 blockers. There's no way I can force 12 damage here. So my only hope here, my only out, is to somehow, because you can see she's got flyers, is to somehow put her in a position where she has to give up at least 2 of those flyers. The only other option, I think long and hard about this, you can see I go to 7 life, so now she needs 4 creatures to attack. That's assuming she doesn't play a spirit to pump the Wanderers. But my only out is to find a flyer to chump block. So I'm going to do that before combat, and I do find one. It's an Aven Mind Sensor. I find a Knight of the Reliquary. I can actually sack the forest to go to 8, but which is why I hold the Knight back. I can chump block, and so I've got a kind of an advantage here. I can chump block the biggest creature, and then I'm safe because the Knight's going to protect me. And then I can get her on the crackback, particularly with the Gavany Township. We'll be able to do 8, but then she flashes this path, so I can't block anything, and so she's got lethal on board. And we're going to have to go to game 2. You can see that puts me to 8. 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, and she's got 9 power on the board, so we're going to game 2 now. So I bought in Kasali Pride Mage and Reclamation Sage. I don't remember what my thinking is there. Yes, because the Spirits deck and combo these sort of decks, particularly against creature heavy decks, tend to bring in Worship. So that's solely for Worship. This is a pretty lousy keep. I also have I played 2 copies of Settled Wreckage in the sideboard. This is very dependent in this matchup on there being no Mausoleum Wanderers. We saw that card was a huge problem in the first game. And it's also the blue-white exiles a card, I forget its name now, was hugely popular in Standard in the Bant company decks. So here I can actually play out my Tireless Tracker. A lot of the time I played on turn 4 so I can get the clue from the land, but I should have attacked there with the Voice of Resurgence. I don't know why I didn't. I can kind of safely play it now because this deck, as far as I know, only plays 4 Path to Exile. But unfortunately, that's a very nice play there from Julia. Phantasmal Image on my Tireless Tracker, and she plays a fetch land, so this is going to kill me. I'll just quiet in this room for a second. And this is Tyler's tracker quickly becomes a beast, and Julie's the only one drawing cards now because she just removed my tracker, but it allows me to find the plane. So my Settle the Wreckage is online here, but I just got to either get another and I need another land to play around Mausoleum Wanderer, which I find now. But I'm kind of stuck in a hard place here, rock in a hard place. I play the Selfless Spirit here because I get super greedy. I want her to commit a little bit more to the board first before I use a Settle the Wreckage. The Selfless Spirit is checking the Mausoleum Wanderer, so it's not. I'll happily trade a spirit for a Wanderer. But because of that spirit, I can't do it this turn. It becomes a 3/3, and I'm down to 12, and at this stage it's looking pretty bad for me. Now, the Knight's an interesting one because do I really want it or not? I can Ghost Quarter myself if I don't. At this stage, I'm getting a bit desperate. But Julia's tracker is just taking over this game. The worst thing about it is that you only need any spell to target that Phantasmal Image and it dies. And here's a Drog Skull Captain, so that's going to pump the Wanderer. So now if I want to play Settle the Wreckage, I need to actually have 2 lands at least, minimum. So Mausoleum Wanderer is going to get in for some more serious damage. I've got a pesky animal that's come to watch. He's interested in Magic as well. He likes to watch me play games. This is super hopeless, and I'm about to make a really ugly play because this Drog Skull Captain is going to force my hand. I can double block the Tireless Tracker, and again here there's a big misplay from Julia, and this is more to do with X-Mage. I don't have rollbacks turned on. She targeted the Noble Hierarch of the Steel of the Godhead. It does absolutely nothing. So I cast Settle the Wreckage here because I know she's going to sack the Mausoleum Wanderer, so I'm only going to take 3. At this stage I'm thinking game on. I'm going to drop to 10, but she's no protection anymore. You can see the Path to Exile there. I definitely want that. So I play the Wooded Foothills just to hedge my bets, just in case something comes up. But I don't intend to crack it because I want the Path to get that something once these 2 Drug Skull Captains are gone here. I'm thinking at this stage if I can Settle the Wreckage on these creatures, then I think the advantage bar swings back to me, particularly if the Path to Exile is back up, and of course it's going to be able to start drawing me more life. But only one guy comes in, so I think she's playing around Settle the Wreckage again, so I just have to let it go. And now she plays a Geist of Sintraft. Geist is not very good against my deck because I have so many creatures on the ground to gum it up. And I have another company coming, so I've just got to think of a way now that I can get her to... I use my Path on the Tireless Tracker because it's not protected by the Drog Skull Captains, and also because she doesn't get a land from it. It dies as soon as anything targets it. So now I've got to beat a Geist and 2 Drog Skull Captains. But that is lethal on board, because the Geist is going to get a 4/4 flyer as well. So I can't block the 2 Drog Skulls and I can't block the flyer. So I think she's enticed to attack here because it would be a lethal attack. But she doesn't. But still that's lethal. I quickly snap off Settle the Wreckage. But she has company. So if she finds a Mausoleum Wanderer or that blue-white 3-mana creature, I'm dead on board. And unfortunately for me, as we'll see, I think she finds both. She does. A Spell Queller, that's what I was trying to remember. So I can only concede here. And we head to Legacy, where Julia's trying to get the clean sweep. I haven't won a single game. I did win the draw, and this is the God hand for Black-Red Reanimator players. This is exactly what you want to see in your opening hand. I don't think you can possibly... A half-competent player with Reanimator cannot lose the game when they see this in their opening hand. You got the 2 Chancellors to protect. The only way that someone would beat this is if they had 2 Force of Wills and 2 other blue cards. And even then you'd be stripping their hand down to 3 cards. You can see Julia's mulled to 5 anyway. So here we go, Dark Ritual, float 3. I can entomb, and the general rule here for Reanimator, you always entomb Grizzlebrand first. And that's because at worst case scenario you're going to draw 7 cards from it. So then I activate. What I'm looking for now is a Thoughtseize, or I forget the name, the 4-mana card to strip their hand. I go to 5. This is kind of risky and I don't find it. Faithless Looting is going to give me one more chance and I still don't find it. So you can see I looked at 16 cards and did not find a single card that I was looking for. And so I passed the turn. I can't activate Grizzlebrand anymore, but I do have a lot of weapons still in my hand. I can entomb, I can exhume, I can't reanimate. Collective Brutality is a good one, and Caracas. So after all that, that's the one card that can stop Grizzlebrand. But again, I'm pretty happy because there's cards in my grave from before, so I can just I'm just going to play it a bit safer here in Collective Brutality to see what's going on the other side. It's Death and Taxes, so I don't mind that particular matchup. Flicker Wisp can be damn annoying, but it's against, and particularly Wasteland. Sideboards, I can fix that up. If she chooses Wasteland here, I don't particularly mind either, because you can see I've got the scrub land there. Goes for the Mother of Ruins, but it's going to be countered by Chancellor of the Annex. Just waiting to see if she wants to wasteland my Badlands. I think in terms of, I started with the God hand, but those 16 cards that I looked at were about the worst 16 you could possibly find. So here I've got 2 options. I can entomb for something else, which is what I'm going to do, or I can just exhume something that I've already got. So my options here are Iona naming white, which I think would be game over, or Tidespout Tyrant to start bouncing stuff. I go for Animate the Dead here, because if I went for Exhume, then she would get back her Mother of Ruins. So I get the Tide Spout Tyrant, and cross my fingers, can I get to the next turn? If I can get to the next turn, then this one's gone. I bounce both those lands. She's not using Wasteland because she needs the mana for the Stoneforge Mystic, but now that she's got Rishadan Port, she can Wasteland next turn. Instead goes for Thalia. So that one I don't mind, because it just means I have to pay 2 for Faithless Looting. So my two options here is, do I bring something back, which would only be a Chancellor of the Annex or a Grizzlebrand, or do I just bounce? The problem with bringing back is that I have to use Exhume, which would mean she gets Mother of Ruins. Unmask is the card I was trying to find. So what I do here is I'm going to bounce Thalia, and then I'm going to use Unmask to look at the hand and get something decent back out of it. Actually, I bounce the white source. So Unmask here is going to allow me to bounce Thalia, so I look at the hand again. Play a 0 mana Lotus Petal and bounce something else. I'm tempted here to actually Exhume with the Lotus Petal, just to bounce her down to 0 lands. You can see I've got to 16 now. Still a 4-turn clock, so she still has plenty of opportunities. Caracas is the main problem here with Grizzlebrand. So she's going to tutor up something else with Stoneforge. It's a sword. So here's a Faithless Looting to let me bounce again. I bounce the Caracas, draw 2 more. So I can actually empty the board here. So what my line here, what I'm going to do to win is I'm going to entomb a Sire of Insanity. And then I'm going to Exhume it, bounce the Wasteland, so it's going to leave her with no cards on the board and also no cards in hand. Because at the end of my end step, both players discard all cards in hand. She gets her Mother of Ruins, but Sire of Insanity will make her discard her hand here. And she's got no cards, so it's pretty much hopeless for Julia at this stage. And we're going to go to game 2. See, I have to mull to 5. That's, again, not a bad hand. Serenity is my sideboard tech. The two cards that I'm worried about with this Death and Taxes are Rest in Peace, which Serenity is for, and Containment, and so you can see she gets the Rest in Peace now. The other one is Containment Priest, which Collective Brutality can deal with. So Scrubland is my only white source, so I have to play Serenity out now and hope that she doesn't get a Wasteland, which she does, of course. Now, if she Wastelands my Scrubland, I'm in big trouble, but instead she Wastelands the Badlands. I know why she does it, because Faithless Looting. But Upkeep, Rest in Peace is gone, and I just need a land now, and we're in business. 2 Collective Brutalities. All I can do is pass the turn. Another Wasteland. So if she Wastelands me here, it's lights out. I'm going to Entomb. But this is kind of useless. I'm in a hopeless situation now. Mirren Crusader, double strike protection from black. That's terrible. And again, I'm missing land drops. I'm about to take 4 a turn. Lotus Petal will give me mana. So I'm still in business. If I can find one more land, I need a land probably next turn, I think. Because this is going to put me to 11. But the problem is Mirroring Crusader I can't block. Unmask I can actually put something in the grave myself, so I'll target, I think it's Chancellor of the Annex, so I can block the Mirroring Crusader. But Surgical is going to be enough, so I concede. We go to, I don't know what this is about. Okay, we go to game 3. Again, I got Chancellor in my opening hand, which is what I want. 2 Lotus Petals is alright to deal with Wasteland this time. Inkwell Leviathan is an absolute beast here. It's my best card. I got 2 Lotus Petals so I can get it back, and this one's over on turn 1. Here's my Leviathan, a 7/11 with Shroud, so Julie has no way to bounce it, or block it, or do anything with it. I think she's thinking, how can I beat that? Mother of Ruins gets blocked. I'm going to be able to animate my second target, and it's over. So I managed to claim some points in Legacy, but Julia takes the match 8-4.